Okay, now that we've got this mid pipe on here, what we did is go ahead and run another bead of sealant around the inside of the muffler can here, and that's going to make that seal right on the end here. And I've put the clamp on here. Now this clamp is the bit that came with it, and we're going to mount that up on here. This is going to help us hold it while we do all the final fitting. What you want to do is slide this pipe clamp on before you get started, otherwise you're going to have to take that bolt all the way out and wrap it up around there. It's just a little bit easier if you slide it on when you get started here. Again, watch the orientation, bolt down will make it the most aesthetically pleasing when it comes time to get to riding on this thing. So let's go ahead and get this up here and get this finalized. What you got to do is kind of wiggle that around until those collars open up and you can really slide this thing on here. This thing can get in the way as well, as you just saw me do. So once we've got this here, let's go ahead and slide it right down on. And what we want to do is make sure that this is really solidified with all that RTV in there, because we do want to make sure that that's making a seal and it's not just sitting on the inside of the pipe doing nothing for us. So I'm really shoving it down onto these two parts that I've connected, and then I'll slide that pipe clamp that we went ahead and put on earlier up over this and just begin to finger tighten it. But before we do that, let's get this clamp in place so we have something holding our work, and that'll make it a whole lot easier to finish this thing out. So let's get this up here. The bolt slides right through the front. We're using the stock bolt from this, and this is going to be a little bit tight. In my test fit, I did go ahead and notice that. You got to tip it down. But with a little bit of work, you can get it into place here. And once you've got that kind of held into place, go ahead and use the, again, existing bolt and nut to put this thing back in. Now I've got that just finger tight, and I'm going to go ahead and come around the back here, take a look at it, and make sure that the line looks good. You might have to manhandle it a little bit to get it into place. You can hear me kind of grunting and groaning here to get it moved to where I want it. This rubber grip really does grab the carbon fiber quite well, so that's going to hold on very well when we get to riding on this thing. Okay, now that we've got it in place, let's go ahead and slide the clamp up over the collar here and tighten that down. And we're going to have to check the bolt size on this because I haven't checked it yet. All right, this one's going to work with a 12 millimeter as well. It's a little loose. It might be a standard actually, but this is going to do the trick. I'm just giving this some slack here, taking in that slack so that we can kind of friction fit it in the place that we want, and then make our final tightening and adjustments on the muffler. Now you can see that clamp just barely right here against the other steel. But what we're doing is we're going to give this a nice centering, and again, really the amount of time you take on this dictates how well it looks when you finish. So take your time, get it centered up well, and then start to give it some tightening twists here to get things wrenched into place. Same with the bottom one. I only loose tightened this just so we had some idea of how this was all going to line up on here. Now I'm going to go ahead and tighten this one down as well, and then we'll finish up by tightening up the top bolt up here. Now these are pretty decent clamps, so you're going to want to watch that you're not crushing the pipe too much here when you begin to tighten it. These clamps look like they'll give you some pretty good leverage to get this thing tightened right down. What I've done is just given these a couple twists, and I could probably keep going on them, but that'll be something that we can do later on once we see how everything settles into place. For now, that should hold that on there. The generator just started up behind us, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and then we'll start in just a few minutes with the final adjustments up here. Okay, let's finish this up. We've got the air compressor rather than the generator turned off behind us, and that'll make it a little bit easier to finish it up here. Again, same bolts, 12 millimeter. Gonna go ahead and fit this on the back just to give myself some leverage, and then begin to tighten here. What you want to do is watch on this clamp. You can see the two parts pulling themselves together. Once you've got them pulled together pretty well, snug it up, and then check to make sure that the muffler feels solid on here. You can see when I shake this, the bike is moving. I'm on the side stand, so I'm not going to shake it too much, but that gives you a pretty good indication that you've got a solid installation. You know, if the whole machine moves as you're tightening. All right, I really snugged that up there. You can take a look here. This is pretty much the final project. There isn't a whole lot to do as far as installation is from here. The RTV that we put in the two joints is going to take 24 hours to fully cure. It soft cures in about an hour. So we could start it up in an hour and take a listen to it. But to make sure that we've got a solid seal and so we get some longevity out of this installation, we're going to wait at least for probably 8 hours before we give this any heat or pressure in the pipe. What to be said about this pipe is it's straight through, so there won't be a lot of back pressure in here. Very short. I expect it to be very loud, but check out the follow-up video on this installation. We'll go ahead and rev this thing up, see what it sounds like, and give you an example of what the final product is. Again, this is a Delkevic pipe. Delkevic pipe, 200 millimeter. It's the carbon fiber model. It's about $180, maybe a little more on eBay. You know, you can check that out. Prices kind of vary with the market, but looks good. We've got it all installed. This is their new model, so check it out and let us know how it goes.